world, welcome back if you're new here. My name is Keely and I make book videos, and I'm also doing vlog videos tracking my progress as an independent researcher, trying to learn as much as I can before potentially most likely applying for a PhD program either this coming fall or the fall after. We'll see how it goes. I wanted to come on here and do an updated spring TBR video. I think I already did one. I need to go back and double check, but my mood has been changing and I wanted to do a sit down video. As much as I enjoy doing vlogs, sometimes it's just good to sit down and do a less kind of thrown together video and more of one that's a tiny bit more structured. This is not really that structured though. But let's go into all of the books that I have on my TBR for the next couple months. This is obviously not all of them. I am a mood reader and I read a lot, and so there will be books on my Kindle, books from the library. We'll just see how this goes. But we're going to start with the books that I am currently reading and then move into the ones that are hopefully going to be right after those. I have a book club for work that I've talked about a couple times. It's called We're Booked, and basically it's a online virtual book club that I host for work where every 2 months we swap between a fiction or a nonfiction. Most of the time only reading one book, but if there's more than one book that people vote for and I think they sound cool, I will read both. Hopefully. Sometimes it hasn't worked out. I try to read both and then I can talk to people about them. The first 2 months of the year we read nonfiction, so that was why I was reading Atomic Habits by James Clear and Rest is Resistance by Trisha Hersey. Both of those were very interesting, kind of competing theories about productivity, but I really enjoyed both of them. So now for March and April we are reading fiction, and the 2 books that we selected are Beloved by Toni Morrison and Fledgling by Octavia Butler. I have read the first couple pages of Beloved, but then I haven't picked it back up, so I need to do so. This one is about someone that escapes enslavement, but she has a daughter that does not live. Her daughter is then called Beloved on the gravestone, and then you're following the main character, I think, as she's just moving through life. What I've read so far has been really good. I just haven't picked it back up. Then the other one, Fledgling, I started reading last night and I read the first 50 pages. This one is Octavia Butler's vampire novel. I'm not sure if she wrote any other vampire books. The books that I've read from her so far have not been vampire. They've just been very, very like dark dystopian. This one is about a potentially 10-year-old girl. She's a vampire or something in the body of a 10-year-old girl, but appears to be, or like mentally is much older than that. It's interesting at the beginning because of the relationship between the main character and this older man that she meets is immediately a sexual relationship, and she looks like a 10-year-old, so it's very obviously like a predatory thing. But she's also a vampire and really strong and older than. It's weird and hard to grapple with as you're reading it, and I was talking about this in my most recent vlog clip that will go up later this week about like shit. Like, I don't know if this was the best option for a work book club, but hopefully not that many people will actually pick it up because most people don't actually read along with me. They're just in the book club online for funsies, so we'll see how that goes. Then I am reading another fiction, and this one is Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. This one I'm reading very slowly. I've read a couple chapters, and I am now apparently in the middle of a chapter that I forgot to finish, but this one is all about Artemisia, who is a Grey sister who is a nun that cleanses the bodies of the deceased so that their souls can pass on, but one day she becomes kind of possessed by this one specific type of ghoul. I think it's like a revenant or something. And that has happened so far at the very beginning of the book, and I don't know where it's going to go from there, but I am very much enjoying it so far. I just keep getting distracted by everything else. The rest of what I'm reading is nonfiction. So I am reading a memoir, and this one is In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park. This is like one of the most famous memoirs for someone to come out of North Korea. It's very, very interesting so far. I am not that far into it. I'm only 45 pages, but really want to pick this one up again, like over the next couple days and finish it if possible, because it's super duper fascinating learning about her life and what it was like for her living in North Korea. Then I also picked up Pleasure Activism, The Politics of Feeling Good, written and gathered by Adrienne Marie Brown. This is a collection of essays and conversations written by a bunch of different people, but all gathered and with context provided by the author. And it's been super interesting so far. I love the idea of kind of taking back the idea of like your body experiencing things, and this book is like really challenging the idea of eroticism and what that means and how we use it and apply it to daily life. And so it's pretty interesting so far. I am really enjoying it. So I put it down because I was traveling and then picked up a billion other books, but I am really enjoying it. And there's lots in here from Octavia Butler, so that's a good thing. Then I finally got and started Orientalism by Edward Said, and this is the 25th anniversary edition, and this one is all about comparing and contrasting the western part of the world with the eastern part of the world. And at the beginning he's really talking about Britain and France and their obsession with India back in the day. So it's very interesting to compare and read about. And then also he's moving into when the United States then started getting established and involved and became obsessed with the East, but that is like Korea and Japan and China, and how it just like fetishizing everything but making it like this complete opposite. Like that's kind of the idea, is that it was such the complete opposite of the Western world that it becomes like fetishized. So it's super interesting so far. I've only read the first couple pages. I read it in the airport and I need to get back into it because I was really enjoying it. Then I'm making my way through The Making of Asian America by Erica Lee. Last year at this time I had this book and was reading it and then put it down and got rid of it, and I have since now have a new copy and I'm farther than I was before. You can see here's my bookmark, and then I mark off the end of the chapter so that I know like how much I have to read. So I'm up to chapter 8, which is all about the Philippines and the United States, and I have been enjoying this one so much, getting so much out of it, so I really want to continue on with this one. Then one that's been amazing for helping with determining what I'm going to be looking at, or like wanting to look at with a PhD program, I have been reading Where Research Begins by Thomas Mullaney and Christopher Rea. This one has been so freaking fascinating and so helpful. As you can see, I've been, well, you can kind of see that, there you go. I've been tabbing off, I've been highlighting a bunch, really taking my time with this one. This one is all about focusing on narrowing down your concepts and ideas and the things that you like, and then turning those themes into questions so that you can eventually get to like the ultimate question of what do you care about? Like, why are you looking at the world and what do you want to learn? Really enjoying that one. And I talk more about all of the nonfiction that I'm reading in my reading vlogs. If you're interested in my thoughts along the way, you can like watch my reading vlogs and that's where I'll talk about them. And then I am taking an online course right now just for funsies, and it is a Chinese book club. A professor interviews 4 Chinese authors about their books, and then I got the books, of course, to read so that I know the context. So the first one in the class is China in 10 Words by Yu Hua, and this one is super fascinating. This one is a collection of 10 essays, each focusing on a different word in Chinese. So it's people, leader, reading, writing, Lu Jun, I'm not sure how to say that, revolution, disparity, grassroots, copycat, and bamboozle. And I am now up to disparity, and you can see I'm very close to the end with this one. Freaking loving this one. I'm learning so much, especially because the author grew up in the Cultural Revolution in China, and so I've been reading a lot about the Cultural Revolution and reading stories that have a backdrop of the Cultural Revolution, and it's just really fascinating. So the majority of my tabs are in leader and then in revolution. So you can, I mean, you can't see that. There you go. You can see the tabs are like separated out by chapter. Really loving this one. The other 3 books then for that book club are Red Sorghum by Mo Yan, Waiting by Ha Jin, and Lenin's Kisses by Yan Lianqi. And these 3, I have no idea which one is next. I'm thinking it said that Red Sorghum is next. I kind of hope Lenin's Kisses is next because this is the biggest one of all 3. But I'm super excited to be reading books from Chinese authors and then watch interviews with them and learn more about them, because as I am learning about other parts of the world, East Asia specifically, learning more about China and the Cultural Revolution, and also what it means for present day, and then also how literature is created and accepted in China compared to the United States, has been really fascinating. Also, going along with that, I have this gigantic nonfiction that I'm very excited to get to. This one is The World Turned Upside Down, A History of the Chinese Cultural Revolution by Yang Zhisheng, and he also wrote Tombstone, which was about the Great Famine that took place in China, but this one is specifically about the Cultural Revolution, and I am so fascinated by it, very excited to learn more. Then I have a couple more nonfiction. I have another memoir. This is Minor Feelings by Kathy Park Hong, An Asian American Reckoning. I'm very excited to get to this one as soon as I finish up In Order to Live, because this one came out very recently and I've been seeing it everywhere, and it is not that long at all. It's just over 200 pages. So this one won't take me that long to read at all. I'm just really excited for it. And then one unrelated to any of that, but it's one that my friend recommended to me, is A Square Meal, Culinary History of the Great Depression. And my friend read this one and said that it was really, really fascinating. And then he shared a very funny review of this one with me, which was basically the person didn't like the book because they were like, but why didn't people just eat? Like, why didn't people just eat during the Great Depression? It's a shocker that that didn't happen. Now we have two more, well, potentially three more nonfiction. I think the third one is a nonfiction, but we have two about Korea. So we have Flowers of Fire by Ha-won Jung, and this one is all about feminism in South Korea. And then we have Korea, a new history of South and North by Victor Cha and Raymond Pacheco Pardo. And both of these came out very recently, and I'm excited for both of them. I'm just trying to finish up some of the other nonfiction that I am currently reading so that I can move into others. It feels like they're taking me forever to get through, but it's because I'll read like a chapter in one and then go to a chapter in another one. Now we have, well, let me show you the one that might be nonfiction. I think this one is nonfiction. This one is called It Came from the Closet, Queer Reflections on Horror, and it's edited by Joe Valesi, and this one is a collection of, I guess it's like essays and commentary on being queer and liking horror, and it just sounds so good. Now onto the last, which are a bunch of fiction. So I finally have a copy of Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, which I'm very, very excited about. This one is Korean. I have no idea what this one is about. I don't really want to know. I have a collection of stories from South Asian authors called Storywala, and it sounds incredible. It's got authors like Salman Rushdie and Jhumpa Lahiri, so very excited for this one. I've got a collection of short stories called Green Frog by Gina Chung that came out very recently. I've been seeing it all over Instagram, and that's why I picked up a copy. One from last year or the year before is Black Water Sister by Zen Cho. I have had this one on my list for a while. I have really been wanting to read it, and I just haven't gotten to it, so I need to finally make time for it. This one is about Jessamine, who starts hearing voices in her head of her dead grandmother. I'm imagining that one's going to be amazing. Then I picked up another Ashley Poston. This one I've seen going around. This is The 7-Year Slip, which is another like weird romance. This one has time travel in it. And then the final book that I have to show you guys is Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. This one is, if you've never heard of it, I don't know where you've been. This one has been around for a very long time. It was very, very popular. I think they made a movie out of it. It came out when I was 6, so 1997. And I want to read that one in the same vein that I want to continue reading Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, and that I want to read Shogun by James Clavell, and that I want to read everything by Lafcadio Hearn, and that white men writing about Asian countries. That is so fascinating to me, especially the men like Lafcadio Hearn or James Clavell that moved over there. I know James Clavell was like a prisoner of war, so a little bit different than Lafcadio Hearn, but that they moved over there and then wrote about it compared to Robert Jordan, who was just kind of obsessed. I think Robert Jordan was also a veteran, but I'm not sure, but he was very much inspired by samurai, and so I'm just endlessly fascinated by these white men who became obsessed. So I'm obsessed with them. Those are all of the books that I have for you guys for spring. I have a ton of other ones. Like I said, I've been trying to do more book unhauls as I bring books in, but it's primarily just been book hauls. And I have another book haul that will be coming. If you've been watching my vlogs, you know that I'm kind of out of control, where I just keep going to the thrift store and finding more books that I really want to read. Basically, the majority of these shelves are all brand new books because they're all East Asian inspired or have something to do with it, except for Night Film. Night Film was a book I just got for my husband that he read, that I read a long time ago and really enjoyed, so I want to reread it. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them. Do you have any recommendations based on what I'm reading that you think would be helpful? And let me know what you guys are reading throughout the spring and into the summer. And that's it. Thanks for watching.